Can I turn into a bat? No, we're not a vampire. Although there is a Necromancer class as well, Fins. I don't think they can turn into a vampire either, though. You know, I've never been a big fan of Druids in World of Warcraft, mostly because you can never show off all your cool gear and stuff. And I don't know. Never really gotten into, like, I've tried basically every class in World of Warcraft for a good amount of time, but I never could, I don't know, I could never get the hang of Druid for some reason, even though I know it's a really fun class. I never really got far with it. I feel like in a game like this, Druid probably works better for me. Maybe there is Neptics, I don't know, man. Ooh, purple health bars. So yeah, I might end up dying a bunch because apparently this class is kind of underpowered right now. But that's okay. So for those of you that have played this game already as well, favorite class so far? If you had to pick one to main in the main, or in the main game, when it releases in June, what are you gonna go with? I haven't decided yet. Necro? Yeah? Necro? Oh god. Oh god, everybody's everybody Necro? Okay, Sorcerer, Rogue? Barbarian because it's the hardest? Okay. Oh god, everybody says like 80% Necro. I gotta say, I actually really like the Rogue, yeah. Rogue is very high APM though. Kinda like the Zerg player. Sorry. Barb is the hardest to use? But like, it's kind of hard to judge the game's balance off of level 25 characters though, guys. Like, maybe right now Sorcerers and Necro is really sick, but like, it's definitely not gonna... It's not gonna be very representative of what the game will actually be like at higher levels. Druid is the weakest class in the beta right now? Okay. Shred gains 30% attack speed and heals for 2% of your maximum life if an enemy is struck. Yo, hell yeah, let's go. I don't think you want to be making those decisions based off of what's strong right now, at the very least, if that makes any sense. I think you probably want to look at abilities and playstyle and whatnot. I am usually more of a ranged damage dealer kind of guy. Rogue is fun, but very intensive because you're very low HP. At the very least, I think that playstyle will probably be the same. Necro is pretty chill usually, right? Like Necromancers, you kind of just run around, let your dudes do the work. I don't think I'm going to be playing Barbarian. I think Barbarian is... I don't think I'm going to be playing Sorcerer either. Even though Chain Lightning was really fun. I heard Corpse Explosion is OP. Didn't it, like, not cost any mana or something? What's good on Knimir? Thank you. Thank you for the 5 months. Hello, priest man. The music is nice though, isn't it? Ay, ay, ay. It's a brain-dead game. This is not an epic gamer game? Is that what you're saying? If it ain't StarCraft 2, it ain't nothing. I only want games that I have to focus on 100% of the time. The bone staff. Nice. That's usually what I call my... never mind. Ooh, look at that. Got a new weapon already. Fundamental bone staff. Well, I already got a yellow item. Was that a two-hander? Yeah, it is a two-hander. How do I know if something is a two-hander? Doesn't say it, does it? Maybe it doesn't, I just didn't see. That sounds like something for me. 2.5% movement speed on my boots. That's pretty good. This game is very casual. I mean, you've played until level 25 at most. You know.
You've returned.
On the second difficulty level of the probably 8 that they'll have or something like that.
The old ruins are clear.
Lost souls, all of you.
I don't know, man. The couple of boss fights that I've seen in this game were actually really quite complex. Maybe that's because my brain is small. And smooth. I don't deal a lot of damage though. Yeah, you know what? A lot of people have been saying that Druid doesn't seem to deal much damage. I barely hit anything, it feels like.
Light willing.
Well, for a lot of people, Dark Souls is also too easy though.
Those heretics drug.
Which way do we go, sir? That way? Okay. A hero's reward. A magic totem. I'll put it in my backpack. But yeah, these games in general are pretty casual, right? I mean, you can make it as hardcore as you want.
Have a look inside, but hurry. I will prepare the torch.
Oh, I haven't encountered the Butcher.
Like the ones I was fed.
The Butcher has a 17% kill rate? Ooh, that's pretty funny. 17% of encounters?
You came to thank the light.
I will listen to all the role playing in this game when the game
I
releases.
thought the dark.
You encountered a Butcher through a side quest or something. You got disconnected from the game. Thank you for giving up your slot to me, Falcon. I appreciate that. I could log in right away because you got disconnected, and we all appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am. Or whatever. He's a spawn in a dungeon? Okay. Okay, the Ice Crown Citadel Cellar. You too gave up your slot? Dude, thank you guys so much. So gameplay-wise, did they make any changes this week compared to last week? I hope the queue isn't too bad for you, man. I just logged in like 10 minutes ago. Okay, more like 20 minutes ago, and it was like a 1-second queue. It was very quick. I did see a little bit of that, the myth, yeah. Pretty fun. Okay. So this is the werewolf situation. Refund all. We're gonna try out... Werebear. Do I have to read the abilities? Reading sounds like a lot of work, man. I'm not gonna lie. Shapeshift into a werebear and maul enemies in front of you. If an enemy is hit by maul, then fortify 2% of your base life. Okay, so that's just straight up physical damage. Electricity gathers... So I guess for the first attack, you kind of just pick whatever seems to be best. Okay, so these are... It's like a ranged attack. This requires very specific aiming. Okay. This is a ranged attack too. Oh, sorry about that, Mr. Deer. I'm sorry. Then we have Storm Strike. Electricity gathers around your weapon, dealing damage. And we have Claw. I think Claw is actually really good. Deals about as much damage as my activated ability over there does, which makes me think that this is a pretty damn good ability. Claw applies poison. Okay. Claw has a 10% chance to attack twice. Ooh, can we run a poison build? Critical strike chance against close enemies is increased by 3%. Maximum spirit is increased by 3. Crush enemies between 2 pillars of earth? Okay, let's see. You need to have 38 damage in AoE. Okay, so this one does a trio of abilities. Like, you have to kind of queue them up together. It's larger and applies an additional poison damage. Okay. Poison is usually really good. Like, damage over time abilities in these games are usually really strong. I think, you know what? I was already running Werewolf earlier. I think that's what I'm gonna stick with for a little bit. I'll get this thing too. So now I can do more damage over time. Fair enough. Does it, if I level this thing up, does it deal more poison damage over time? No. So how do I increase the number of poison damage that I do? Because this just increases the base damage, which seems very impactful or unimpactful. I'm gonna head on over to the Raging Shred. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to do some damage over time kind of stuff. That sounds pretty fun. So actually, my basic attack seems to also deal... My right-click attack, rather. It does also deal AoE damage. Huh. Okay. Skill level is 10% more damage. It scales with your level. Okay. Oh, okay, so maybe because it's 10%, it just didn't get a damage improvement. I see. So my base attack deals 16 damage, which goes up by 10. So you'd imagine, like 10% that is. So you'd imagine this, if I level this up by bottom level, you would imagine it also deals 9 poison damage over time, no? If the other one goes up by 2, the bottom one should be going up by 1, if it's 50% of my damage dealt that deals poison damage over time. Not exactly sure if that's how it works, but... Okay, Shred gains 30% attack speed and heals for 2% of your maximum life if an enemy is struck. Okay. There are 2 skill trees in this game, yeah. There's a level 50 skill tree as well. So these are basically mostly for your abilities and different modifiers and all that. But you can't go to level 50 yet in the current version of the game. So we're not going to be able to test out the Paragon tree. But from what I understand, the maximum level will be level 100. So we'll have quite a few skills to play around with. The Bone Staff. I saw a bunch of people complaining about... someone mentioned this as well on stream last week. I saw a bunch of people complaining about the UI on Twitter about this particular game. Like people like getting his name right now. He's really big into Diablo 2. How am I forgetting his name? Anyways, people apparently are complaining a little bit about the UI in this game. I have got no complaints about it so far. Llama, yeah, Mr. Llama. Llama was complaining about the UI. I'm not sure exactly what his problem with it is. What's wrong with the UI? Does anybody have any idea? Isn't it basically you don't like the minimalistic images for the skills? Oh, I love that. But I see. You think the UI is quite bad as well? How so? Like, what about it is bad? It looks really nice. I think it plays well too, but... The PlayStation one is confusing? Okay, yeah, I haven't tried out the console. I saw a bunch of people complaining that you can't have your, like, map overlay on the screen. So, you know how, like, for example, Path of Exile and Diablo and whatnot, you have the option to, like, have, like, an outline version of the map, like a... I don't know, like an X-ray of the map on your screen. Yeah, I think they've chosen not to do that in this one.
Here? What are you hiding back here?
I think they've done that on purpose, though. They could definitely do that, but... The UI is too big. Smaller is better. I don't know if I agree. The problem with having one of those transparent maps on the screen that I found, and I'm not a huge ARPG guy, so I might be wrong here. But at some point you don't actually look at the game anymore, but you only look at the map. I don't know. Maybe that's the way you want to play it, but I don't know. I understand at least why they don't necessarily want you to have one of those transparent maps. But yeah. I personally, I'm not, you know, I've always played with it whenever it's an option, but I never really am a huge fan of it.
Let's not linger. Kiyovershad lies just ahead.
Yeah, but if you want to speedrun the game, do you really need one of those transparent maps? I guess, you know, you can still use the big map. If there's RNG, maybe it can be kind of annoying, but... There is, yeah, there are 2 difficulty settings for the beta. I'm sure there will be more. Even your grandma could play Diablo 3. And now Diablo 4 as well. You make that sound like it's a bad thing. What do you mean? Accessibility is not good? I don't understand your argument, Poby. You've been complaining that this game is too easy, even though you can only go up to level 25. Most people apparently died to the hardest boss in the game so far. And there's only 2 difficulty settings right now. Like, the fact that everybody can play this game is a pro, not a con, right? Especially if you're gonna have a difficulty slider later on that will make this... Like, I understand about, you know, games being difficult for difficulty's sake. Like, you know, I love games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne and all that. I don't think those games should have an easy mode.
We have no time.
But I think for a game like this, it's... There's really no reason. Like, Diablo 2 is not a difficult game either. Like, your grandma could also play Diablo 2.
To enter Kiyovershad, you must perform a cleansing ritual.
Am I mistaken?
Gesture, but some people take it.
Take a piece of holy cedar wood from the shrine and inscribe it with the sin which troubles you. Then cast it into...
Okay. That is an improvement, Lowko. Probably want to be wielding that. Diablo 2 on normal is easy. Right, but like we are playing on normal right now, right? The harder difficulties in Diablo 2 are actually hard. But I have no reason to believe that won't be the case in this game too. I don't know, it just seems like a poor argument for a beta. It just...
Pride.
The game's easy, therefore it's bad.
Good. You must feel as though a great weight has been lifted from you.
Anyhow, agree to disagree. Ba 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 da da ba ba.
So, what did you write on the... I'm off to the dry
I
steppes.
can't get a horse yet in the beta, guys.
Hubris or pride. Cracked hooves, sway back, cloudy eyes.
Can't get a mount.
Practically.
Diablo 4 on Veteran is still easy compared to Dark Souls 2. Easy? Is it though? I'm not sure. I don't remember struggling on the easiest difficulty in Diablo 2, but maybe I'm mistaken. Oh, he sells a purple for 20 gold? I have 21,000 gold.
Wait. The old man sold me this too. He said he
Oh no,
could
wait,
give
that's
it
the
for more.
quest item. I got confused.
I think he want it back all the same.
Okay.
No charge.
I don't think you can really judge the difficulty of the game very easily yet, but fair enough. The strange amulet, thank you. Yeah, dude, the art style in this game and the feel in general is really nice.
Yeah, apologies.
They definitely noted that the Diablo 2 experience was missing in Diablo 3. And this game reminds me a lot of Diablo 2. Again, I haven't played a ton of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 compared to some of you guys, but feel-wise, it definitely... Yeah, it feels like it. The atmosphere is nice. I actually always like the combat in D3. I think the combat in D3 is really good. What's going on, NTW? I went live an hour early today, yeah. The music is also really lovely. The violin in the background in the towns is really good. It's nice, right? Maybe I'm getting old. I remember when my parents used to play classical music when I was a kid. I was like, Dad, put on some radio or something. This music sucks. And right now I'm like, yes, go violin, go. Okay, we're gonna do some side quests. I am gonna listen to the side quests because I haven't really done any of them. Actually, I may have done a couple, but...
Yes, well, Bozan has yet to return from delivering our tithing demands to Menestad. Perhaps you could sweep the roads and see what's taking him so long. The cathedral must receive its dues.
I'm gonna pick up all the side quests that I can. That's the goal for today. There must be at least a couple in the town. No, I think they pumped more into this game than they did in Diablo 3. Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be fair, this game also kind of feels like do or die for Blizzard in a way, because like the last couple games they've released, they've all been a little bit shaky, and you know, a little asterisk here and there. There's some, let's just leave it at drama over the last couple of years as well. I don't really want to get into the details of that, but it's been a fucking disaster over at Blizzard. Especially now as well with like them having to like basically cease operations in China for the majority of their stuff. It's not been pretty. It's not been pretty. So I don't know. In a way, I kind of feel like this is also kind of an important game for them. I need to cheer them on.
Well done.
You missed the China news? Yeah, man. It was actually very sad for all like those guys that have been gaming over in China for a long time. Like I saw videos of the World of Warcraft servers getting shut down in China. Like I hadn't even really considered that, but obviously there's like 1 million people over there that have spent the last 10 years playing World of Warcraft, and they basically spend the last couple minutes over in Stormwind. And I guess that's at least what I saw in the video, but I'm sure similar things were going on in the Orgrimmar cities as well. But yeah, people just sitting there on the mount until the disconnect screen appeared. Insane stuff, man. Basically, the agreement with NetEase ended, and you have to like, it's kind of complex to publish games in China apparently, and they didn't get to a new agreement, and because of that, they had to cease operations for the majority of their stuff. I think the only Blizzard game that is currently playable without a VPN in China is Diablo Immortal. Because I think they probably set that agreement up later than the rest of the game. Or the rest of their, like, you know, games. But it's, yeah, it's pretty wild. It's especially wild, too, because the new StarCraft 2 World Champion is Chinese, but he can't even play in his home country. Pretty wild stuff, man. Yeah, it's actually insane. It's very sad, though. Like, imagine you've been spending a decade running your MMORPG character, and then you can't play anymore. Fuck. I feel sad just thinking about it, man. I know how much time people spend playing video games, right? And for other generations or whatever, it may be difficult to understand, but fuck, I could only imagine spending like a decade playing World of Warcraft to then, you know, a little bit of rubber bending, by the way. Yeah, maybe 2 decades for some. 2005 or 6 or so is when I think World of Warcraft launched in China. Maybe 2007, I don't know. 2004 in the Western world, but anyways. Fucking sucks, man. Seriously. I'm assuming they have backups, right? And maybe at some point they'll be able to get to an agreement again and they'll be able to just launch the servers once more, but still. Yeah, I've been to China, man. Using the internet is a weird experience. When I was there, basically none of the Apple, Google, and, you know, basically none of those products worked. Which is essentially 80% of the products that I use. It was really strange. You have to use a VPN. I could also use my phone's data. I'm not entirely sure how that worked, but if I used my phone's data, it wasn't a problem. So my phone's data, I could, you know, access WhatsApp and Instagram and all that, but, yeah, still weird. Yeah, seriously, no Google. You can't access Google servers. Unless you're on a VPN, which basically every business is, from what I understand, but... No, I'm definitely not getting a local sim. No, no, no. The 2 forms I can take on are the Werewolf and the Werebear. I would imagine that those will probably be the only ones. Maybe it'll add more at some point. Anyways, I've now got the poison thing on both my left click and my right click. You couldn't use your phone's data in Japan? Really? You couldn't use your phone data in Japan? That kind of surprises me. Hey, what's up, Utopia? I decided to go live an hour early, yeah. I have not used any other SIM card than my own ever. I've never done the I'm gonna buy a SIM card thing. Oh god, dude, I took so much damage. Holy crap. Within the European Union, you can share data these days. So that made it much easier. Like basically, if you go to any other country within the EU, your data is usable. Oh, I was supposed to go to the cathedral. I guess I'm doing the side quest here on accident first. It's fine. Investigate the road. Is this a road? I can't really tell. No, this is not the road. There's a road on the minimap. I think I get 50 gigabytes if I leave the Netherlands, yeah. So, you know, you can browse Pornhub for at least a couple hours. And YouTube. And Instagram. No, it's enough. At least, you know, in my experience. Your phone has 2 SIMs? Yeah, I heard Canada is a bit of a meme when it comes to internet data sometimes. That's not nearly enough. Okay, sir. You travel with your VR headset. 8K or nothing. 8K 3D VR. Hello, I have investigated the roads. I don't know where I go for this quest, guys. Ah, it's over here somewhere. Oh, it's in that little nuke right over here. There was a 30-second queue or so, yeah. SIM cards are mad cheap in my country. You get 200 gigabytes a month for less than 10 bucks. 200 gigabytes? Why did they even offer 200 gigabytes? Like, that is... that is basically infinite for everybody. Other than a very select group of people that do a terabyte a month. I do quite a bit of data. Do you want... I guess I... Hold up, can I see how much data I use in a month? Data usage. Yeah, I upload and stream a little bit, so apparently I'm at 3.2 terabytes this month. But most people don't do that much data. Thank you, Torox, for the 15.
Indeed I am. My guard turned on me, tried to choke the life out of me. All I could do before I lost consciousness was go over the cliff. I need to return to Kuyovashad and request a night escort. Please, take the tithing demands to the merchant lord Talgun in Menestad.
Okay, I could do that, sir. Collect the tithing demands. You get a 20 terabyte limit? Really? They have a 20 terabyte limit on your home internet, buddy? I mean, I guess they're putting in some protection. Fair enough. My ISP has never gotten angry at me, as far as I know. I've never noticed. Actually, no, the thingy I just showed you is probably not entirely accurate, because that also, it's network data, right? So the NAS is also connected to the network. So I'm not exactly sure how much I used for my internet. Yeah, I'm playing a shapeshifter. What is going on? Darklord 2009. Darklord 2009. Please tell me that's not your birth year. Whenever people have birth years in their stream names or your usernames, 2009 makes me feel very old. Please tell me you just made that account in 2009 and you're like, ah, this is the year. You're too old? Oh, thank God.
Hope this helps pay some of those insane monthly data.
It's not too expensive. I do have to pay for the fastest internet, but I think it's 60 euro a month, which is not too bad. Thank you, Czech Banka, for the 5-month resub. I appreciate you. And thank you, Bruce Lee, as well, for the 32. Welcome, welcome.
I am so very grateful. I will need to make the necessary arrangements. Please, excuse me.
What's up, Nissen?
How did this
Am I winning?
happen?
I'm always winning.
I shouldn't be holding this in my hands. It should be.
Restraint, my lord.
I have 1 terabit up and down.
Ah, yes.
Or terabit, gigabit.
Of course.
Damn.
Carry
I
on,
wish.
Majesty.
That'd be hype.
An arrangement I made went awry, and I was extorted by the ruffian Laskus. For
Casual 1 terabit down.
he's camped somewhere near the pass to the northwest. Return the gemstones he stole, and I'll make it worth your while.
Okay. Get the payment of gemstones from Luskus. Should I be going back to, like, pick up the main quest? I think I'm gonna go back real quick and pick up the main quest. You could download games really quickly, yeah. Internet speed in the Netherlands, if you live in a relatively recent place, it's all fiber. I think they stopped putting down the regular wires years ago. So it's all optic fiber, which is nice. I specifically selected, though, where I live based off of internet speeds. I am that pathetic. Like, we looked at a couple of places to move to, but some of them didn't have fiber, so I couldn't live there. It wasn't an option. Genuinely not an option. You know, it's an option, but if, you know, one place is basically the same as the other place, and one is fiber and the other one doesn't, that is a main consideration. Yes. Like, I used to, when I lived at my old place, I used to not be able to go live on time sometimes because I was uploading a YouTube video. Like, I would literally be late to my own stream because I was uploading a YouTube video. That is not a problem anymore these days. So, you know, it's an actual quality improvement, but yeah.
We were born in sin. Children.
Yeah, streaming is kind of demanding, I guess, but it's okay.
Father's light can be sought through penitence and faith. Walk in the light.
I used to stream, when I first started streaming at my parents' place, I used to stream on Wi-Fi. It took about 4 or 5 months of me constantly disconnecting until I successfully convinced my parents to get a, you know, a network cable upstairs. Yeah, we had to, like, I had like my parents have a very old home, like built a long time ago. So for obvious reasons, there were no network adapters upstairs. So it was actually a mess. It was actually a disaster to get. Like, we had to drill a bunch of holes, and it wasn't very... But we got it done eventually. Yeah. Streaming on Wi-Fi is not possible, man. Unless you have really good Wi-Fi.
We must be ever vigilant against sin, brother.
Yes, Reverend Mother.
Here, take the knight's report before you go.
Wait, no. I can teleport straight to the other one, can't I? Yeah, I can. Nice. When I was a teenager, I had to pay my parents to switch from 56K to normal internet. Mom, put down the phone! I'm in a video game! No, I can't pause it! I'm playing with my friends! Those were the days. Ooh. That's a Necromancer, I would imagine. Dial-up was not great, no. Dial-up must have been really expensive too, right? I don't know how you... I don't know. Dial-up must have been really expensive. One common thing actually in the Netherlands is that older homes don't have a... I don't know if this is the case in other countries too, but they don't have a network connection upstairs. But oftentimes there is like a television cable. So you can plug that into a TV. For some reason, I guess in like the 80s and the 90s or whatever, they thought that that was the more important connector. So there's no network adapter, but there is one of those like cable TV cable things you can plug directly into the wall. So a lot of people end up using that space to get rid of the cable TV thing and then, you know, put a network connector instead. A coax cable? Coax cable? I don't know what it's called. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. It's one of these. I think you could... Yeah. It's one of these. Coax? There you go. You need to be able to watch cable TV in every room in the house. Yeah, of course. Very important. But nowadays, television is done over network cables too, right? So it's... Yeah.
Is someone there?
Oh, God. Slay the enemies. This is a world event.
Need help?
Dark all around. Why did Mother go? I don't want to be alone.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have been so mean to Mom. Then she wouldn't have left. Okay, no, it's a joke. Maybe you should have eaten your veggies. I don't think they eat their veggies in the world of Diablo. Something's telling me very few vegetables. I don't know. Yo, the poison damage over time is sick though. You can actually see them turning green. God, I love the violin. I don't know why the violin is so hyped to me. The music is really good. Like, it kind of fades into the background oftentimes, but at some point you hear the sad violin again. There can only be one werewolf. Get out of here. Hello. Why is that 1 second taking such a long time on the right side of the screen? Ay. Slay the remaining enemies. Oh! Wow. Amazing. We did it. Herb cache? Sure. Guys, I know I bitch and complain about inventory management all the time in video games, but Diablo 4 has done a very good job at it. This is not something I usually say out loud, okay? But the inventory management in this game is excellent so far. Maybe I'll find something to complain about later, but so far I am really liking it. Shapeshift into a werewolf and howl furiously, healing you for 20% of your maximum HP. Bloody howl. That's pretty good. Cyclone armor, earthen bulwark. Debilitating roar. Shapeshift into a werebear and bellow a mighty roar, reducing nearby enemies' damage dealt. This is, yeah. Yo, healing over time, nuh-uh. AoE debuffs. That's a cool looking ability. Okay. How do potions work? You can have a maximum amount of potions, so there's 4 of them, and enemies drop them from time to time. But you can upgrade your potion situation in town. There's like quests and stuff, and then occasionally they drop them. So there's items you need to like improve it. So there's one that just dropped. And there's like a crafting tab, but this is all dropped over here and automatically sorted. So for salvaging gear, salvaging all this stuff, it's all automatically sorted over here. There's a currency tab over there, and then there's a salvage plant type of thing, which is really quite nice. So it's materials. And then you have the equipment over here. And what you can do is like you can do a comparison over here, see if something is an upgrade, and then mark it as junk. And then when you get to a vendor, you can sell everything in one click that is marked as junk. Which for some reason I've not seen in many games. But that's really nice. There's the consumables. Pretty straightforward. Quest and aspect. I'm not exactly sure how all of these get used. Like, I don't know if gems are considered consumables or... I don't know. Really, Gabe? This is where you're at? Okay, for those of you that felt bad when we had that internet discussion, this is Romania for you right there. I think per Luna is per month, right? Per moon cycle. 50 lei, 10 gigabit. 50 lei to US dollars is... $11. About 10 euro. 10 gigabit. Romania has insane internet, man.
Is someone there?
Wait, there's another one? Yo, I just waited for so long in this area that apparently I've got another one of these events. Literally the same event.
I need your help. I can't see.
You know the main amazing thing? Sorry, Wayward Soul, I am gonna do my side quest. The best thing about a 10 gigabit connection is that the bottleneck is your SSD. Like, your SSD might not be able... let's see. You would need a read-write speed of over a gigabyte a second. There are SSDs that do that for sure, but you need PCIe SSDs. I don't think SATA connector can do that. Can a SATA do? How fast can a SATA connector go? Your SSD can do 10 gigabit? This PCIe 4? SATA can do up to 6? Okay. But you still need a really fast SSD. Anyways, you're getting to the point where improvements are basically irrelevant. There is a sweet spot where at some point faster internet does not actually make any difference. That's what I think, but maybe in like 10 years time we're all running 20 giga or, you know. You would also need... You would also probably need a better network cable. Yeah. I have... What is it called? I don't know what it's called. The connector cable thing. There's like different gradations, right? I know that specifically when I moved here, I got the... Oh, Cat... Yeah, I think I have Cat 7, which can do like up to Cat... Or this can do up to 10 gigabit or something? Anyways. Luskus, what's up? I've come for the gemstones. This guy is not gonna hand them over.
Mero sent you. That spineless merchant. Ha! This will cost him dearly.
Yeah, see. Well, got him. Cat 6? Cat 6 can still do 10 gigabit? Okay. What's up, Kalibrovka? I accidentally left my tea in the fridge overnight. How do you accidentally leave your... You're gonna have to unwrap that one for us, Weebuck. How do you accidentally leave your tea? I don't... Didn't you put it there? Usually people store stuff in the fridge. That's kind of the point of it. Why did the tea go in the fridge? It's kind of like, why did the chicken cross the road? You buy iced tea, put it in the fridge, and you forgot? Yeah, but isn't that where it goes?
So,
aren't you supposed to put it there?
Done.
Am I doing it wrong all this time?
I knew you would prove worthy of my trust. I'm sure you've heard the new word as it spreads. We will no longer suffer at the hands of the lesser. Our strength, our might, our destiny is to triumph over the weak.
Oh, you put your toilet cleaning product in the fridge this week. That you probably don't want to do. I mean, I'm assuming you closed it and it's not a big deal. But I don't think you want to be putting your toilet cleaning stuff in the fridge. Oh, you meant the freezer. Oh, that's the confusion. Okay, you put your iced tea in the freezer. Now it's very iced. Yeah. Do I use ashwagandha? I don't even know what that is. No, I most definitely don't.